Septime Webre, Artistic Director of Hong Kong Ballet. I'm originally American, but moved from Washington, D.C. to Hong Kong in 2017. So 4 years in Hong Kong and really loving it. When I came to Hong Kong, it was very clear to me that Hong Kong Ballet was obviously one of Asia's premier ballet companies. But our goal was to also make it the most forward-looking. And we started about that in 3 ways. Number one is to refresh the repertoire, inject some energy into, some new energy and new creativity. People are a little stuck in the way they think about ballet. It certainly is occasionally about swans and girls who in Bavaria who die of a broken heart. But it's also about the world around us. Ballet is not just an old art form, it's also a language, like English or Chinese or French, that can be used to express so many things about the world. And that's what we sought to do with injecting energy into the repertoire. A second thing was to bring the ballet out into the streets. So we established ballet in the city, a series of unique large-scale pop-up performances in iconic and surprise locations. The first one we did at Daikun in fall of 2018 attracted about 30,000 people over the course of a weekend. It's just been an explosion of getting out into the community and ensuring ballet was accessible. The third thing you mentioned actually was our communication, what our brand means and what it's like and what kind of energy we bring as an identity. And certainly we're a classical ballet company, but clearly one that has a lot of fun and has some contemporary ideas. In tackling in 1 year this pair of great masterworks and putting your own stamp on it is, I suppose, audacious, but just everything kind of came, there was a perfect storm. And in the case of Romeo and Juliet, which premiered in June of 2021, it was not hard because the story of Romeo and Juliet is so universal. It was not hard to find literally hundreds of parallels with life in Hong Kong in the early 1960s. The actual plot points were really easy to adapt, but as the context of triad leaders from Kowloon City and mahjong games and love between a local and a guaylo and just a lot of things that I think people could recognize themselves on stage. I think that's when art is most powerful, when people can see themselves. In the Prokofiev score, Prokofiev wrote 3 big sword fighting scenes. There was no fencing in Hong Kong on the streets in the 1960s, so we took the opportunity, we partnered with Hing Chow and some very smart Kung Fu Sifus. And our dancers trained about 6 hours a week all last summer in proper Hong Kong style martial arts, Kung Fu. And so this is a new skill that our dancers gained. In the case of the Nutcracker, another amazing score. So the music is doing half the job. It's really not hard to make up cool steps to this cool music. So that part's easy. I'm seeking to create something that will become a classic in Hong Kong. Not really newfangled, but something that looks like a new classic, something that a grandparent will want to take their grandchild every year for as a kind of tradition. Because I'm just interested in kind of the world past and contextualizing our presence. So it's naturally interesting to me to read about Hong Kong history and use that information in the ballets. That's one. The second, I mentioned earlier, I just think when the curtain goes up and you can see yourself in some way, or you can relate, the art will be more meaningful. And so not every production we do will be about Hong Kong explicitly, but when we do that, there'll be special resonance. It's not just about Hong Kong, that maybe music, maybe there's some contemporary music that speaks to your soul that you hear on stage, or maybe the dancer looks like you, or could be any other ways that you can connect. But having it set in Hong Kong is one of those ways. The third is I just love Hong Kong. I came to Hong Kong and I fell in love with the place. The energy is amazing, and this fusion of culture is so amazing. The people so friendly, but also super efficient. So it's just, both these productions are kind of my love letter to my new home.